Are we alone in the universe? It's a question that's fascinated humans for centuries, and today we're going to dive into what science actually has to say about it, about the possibility of extraterrestrial life and where it might be hiding, and what it would mean for us if we ever, made contact.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be exploring this question because we're finally moving beyond speculation.
Mm.
Astrobiology, the search for life beyond Earth is a real scientific field now, and it's raising some truly mind-bending questions.
So let's get into it. The Fermi paradox. Basically, it says that if the universe is as big and old as we think it is, well, statistically, there should be tons of other civilizations out there. So where is everyone?
Right. It's like if the universe is a party, why haven't we met any of the other guests?
Exactly. So what are some of the explanations for this cosmic silence?
Well, one possibility is that intelligent life is just incredibly rare. Maybe the conditions that led to life on Earth are exceptionally unique, and we're the only ones who hit the cosmic jackpot.
So we're just incredibly lucky. I mean, I can kind of get behind that. But the research also suggests some more, unsettling possibilities, like the idea that civilizations might have a tendency to self-destruct before they reach a point where they can travel between stars. Is that what the Great Filter is all about?
Yeah, exactly. The Great Filter hypothesis basically proposes that there might be a barrier or a series of barriers that prevent most civilizations from achieving interstellar travel or long-term survival. Maybe it's technological advancements that become inherently dangerous. Or perhaps civilizations inevitably face resource depletion or environmental collapse, kind of like what we're dealing with now with climate change.
So the question is, if that's the case, can we figure out how to break the cycle? Is there a way to navigate these challenges and become a truly spacefaring civilization? What does the research say about that?
Well, the research explores some potential solutions. Some scientists believe that sustainable practices, global cooperation, and of course technological breakthroughs could be key to overcoming these existential threats. If we can learn from our mistakes and find a way to live sustainably and peacefully, maybe, just maybe, we can be the exception to the rule.
It's a pretty sobering thought. But let's get back to the search for alien life itself.
Right.
The sources talk about looking for biosignatures. Are those like chemical fingerprints that would indicate the presence of life on other planets or moons?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, like a fingerprint. Imagine an alien astronomer observing Earth from light years away. They'd see oxygen in our atmosphere, a telltale sign of biological activity. Scientists are searching for similar evidence on other worlds, things like unusual combinations of gases or chemical compounds that wouldn't exist without life.
Okay, so where should we be looking for these fingerprints? I know Mars gets a lot of attention. What makes it such a prime candidate?
Well, Mars is our next-door neighbor, and there's strong evidence suggesting it once had liquid water, a key ingredient for life as we know it. It's a harsh, dry world today, but there's a chance that microbial life could be clinging to existence beneath the surface, perhaps in pockets of liquid water or ice.
What about those icy moons, Europa and Enceladus? I always picture them as these giant cosmic snow globes with hidden oceans underneath. Is there any chance life could exist in those kinds of environments?
Yeah, Europa, orbiting Jupiter, and Enceladus around Saturn are both thought to have vast, salty oceans beneath their icy shells, possibly heated by tidal forces from their giant host planets. And where there's water and energy, well, the possibility of life becomes much more intriguing.
It's fascinating to think that life could be thriving in places that are so different from our own planet. The source material also mentions Titan, Saturn's largest moon, which has this crazy methane-based environment. It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
It really is a bizarre place. It has lakes and rivers, not of water, but of liquid methane. It's so cold that water is rock hard there, but methane flows like liquid. Now, life as we know it couldn't survive in that kind of environment.
Right, because life on Earth is carbon-based,
Mm-hmm.
and we need water. But does that mean that life couldn't have evolved to use methane as a solvent instead of water?
Yeah.
Or to be based on silicon instead of carbon?
Those are questions that astrobiologists are actively exploring. It's a humbling reminder that we need to keep an open mind when we're searching for life beyond Earth. What we consider normal or essential for life might just be a product of our own limited perspective.
So we've been talking about these extreme environments in our own solar system, but the research also dives into the possibility of habitable planets orbiting other stars, exoplanets, right?
Yes, and the discovery of exoplanets has been, well, it's been revolutionary for the search for extraterrestrial life. We now know that there are billions of planets out there, and many of them could potentially be habitable.
I remember when the first exoplanets were discovered, it was like science fiction was becoming reality. But how do scientists actually find these planets? And how do they determine if they might be suitable for life?
There are a few different methods, but one of the most common is the transit method. Imagine you're looking at a star, and a planet passes in front of it from our perspective. The star's light will dim slightly as the planet blocks a tiny portion of it. By measuring these dips in brightness, astronomers can detect the presence of a planet and even estimate its size and orbital period.
So it's like a tiny eclipse. And by analyzing the pattern of these eclipses, scientists can figure out if a planet is in the so-called habitable zone, the Goldilocks region where temperatures might be just right for liquid water.
Precisely. Not too hot, not too cold, just right for the possibility of oceans, lakes, and rivers. Of course, just because a planet is in the habitable zone doesn't guarantee it's actually inhabited.
Right, it could be a barren rock or a gas giant or who knows what. But finding a planet in the habitable zone definitely increases the odds. Wouldn't you say it sparks the imagination? What might be lurking beneath those alien skies?
It's incredibly exciting. But let's not limit ourselves to thinking that life can only exist on planets that look like Earth. The research also explores the possibility of life evolving in environments that are radically different from our own. Imagine a planet with a dense, superheated atmosphere, crushing pressure, and constant volcanic activity.
That sounds more like hell than a cradle of life. But you're saying that life could find a way to thrive even in those extreme conditions?
It's certainly possible. Life is incredibly adaptable. We find extremophiles right here on Earth, organisms that live in boiling hot springs, deep-sea vents, and even radioactive waste. They show us that life can push the boundaries of what we consider possible.
So that's where it gets really interesting. Because if life can exist in those kinds of extreme environments here on Earth, who's to say what's possible out there in the vastness of the universe?
Exactly. It really challenges us to expand our definition of life itself. We tend to be very Earth-centric in our thinking, assuming that alien life would be carbon-based, need water, and breathe oxygen, just like us.
It's like that saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. We're looking for life as we know it, but what if it exists in forms we haven't even imagined?
What if there are life forms based on silicon instead of carbon? What if there are creatures that thrive in liquid methane or ammonia or some other solvent we haven't even discovered yet? What if there are life forms that exist as pure energy or as a collective consciousness spread across an entire planet?
Oh, okay, those are some mind-bending possibilities. I'm trying to wrap my head around a collective consciousness. It's like a hive mind, right? But on a planetary scale.
It's a fascinating concept. And it highlights how limited our current methods of searching for life might be. We're looking for radio signals, chemical signatures, or other signs of technology that we recognize. But what if alien civilizations have developed forms of communication or technology that are completely beyond our comprehension?
So we could be surrounded by alien life and not even realize it because we're not looking for the right things.
That's a distinct possibility, and it raises an interesting question. How would we even recognize alien life if it's so different from anything we've ever encountered? It might not be little green men waving hello. It could be something so strange, so alien, that we might not even perceive it as life.
So it's not just about finding evidence of life. It's about recognizing it for what it is, even if it challenges our most fundamental assumptions about biology and consciousness. That's a pretty big task. But let's assume for a moment that there is intelligent life out there. How are scientists trying to make contact? I know there's SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yes, SETI is one of the most well-known efforts. They're using radio telescopes to scan the skies, listening for any artificial signals that might indicate the presence of an alien civilization. It's like trying to pick out a faint whisper in a crowded room. But if we were to detect a clear, unambiguous signal from another world, it would be one of the most momentous discoveries in human history.
It would be like winning the cosmic lottery. But what are the chances of actually finding something? I mean, the universe is a pretty big place.
It's true that the odds are long, but they're not zero. And there are other projects, like Breakthrough Listen, which are using even more advanced technology and covering a wider range of frequencies to increase our chances of finding something.
So they're casting a wider net, hoping to catch that elusive signal. But the research also suggests that we might have already encountered alien life without even realizing it. There's the possibility of microbial life on Mars or Venus, right?
Yeah.
Places we've already sent probes to.
It's a tantalizing possibility. We know that Mars had liquid water in the past, and there's evidence that Venus might have had a more Earth-like environment billions of years ago. It's possible that microbial life could still exist in these places, perhaps deep underground or in other protected niches.
So we might have already found evidence of alien life, but we just haven't recognized it yet. That's pretty wild.
It's a reminder that we need to be careful not to dismiss evidence just because it doesn't fit our preconceived notions.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the potential impact of making contact with an alien civilization. The sources you sent talk about cultural, religious, even political ramifications.
It's difficult to overstate the potential impact. Imagine the upheaval in our understanding of our place in the universe, the challenges to our belief systems, the potential for both cooperation and conflict. It would be a defining moment in human history.
It's hard to even imagine what it would be like. But the sources also mentioned the potential dangers of contact. Could an advanced alien civilization be hostile?
It's a legitimate concern, although we shouldn't assume the worst. Science fiction has often depicted aliens as invaders, but that might be projecting our own fears and prejudices onto the unknown. We need to approach this with a balance of caution and curiosity.
So we need to be prepared, but not paranoid. The research mentions the idea of a first contact protocol. Is that like a set of guidelines for how humanity should handle contact with an alien civilization?
Exactly. Some experts believe we need to start thinking seriously about how humanity should prepare for such an event. How would we communicate? How would we ensure our own safety? How would we represent ourselves to the galactic community?
It sounds like something out of Star Trek. But it makes sense to think about these things in advance, just in case we ever get that call. It's better to be prepared than caught off guard.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that aliens, if they exist, are likely to be vastly different from us in terms of their biology, culture, and motivations. We can't assume they'll think and act like humans.
Right? It's like trying to understand the behavior of an ant colony based on our own human experiences. It just wouldn't translate. But even with all the unknowns, there's this incredible sense of possibility. I mean, if we're not alone in the universe, what does that mean for the future of humanity?
It opens up a whole new chapter in our story. Imagine the knowledge and technology we could gain from interacting with an advanced alien civilization, the potential for collaboration, exploration, and understanding. It's a truly awe-inspiring prospect.
It's like the universe is a giant puzzle, and we've just started to put the pieces together.
And with each new piece we discover, the picture becomes more complex, more fascinating, and more full of wonder. It's an incredible time to be alive and asking these questions.
It really is a fascinating time to be thinking about all of this. We've been talking about the search for extraterrestrial life and the implications of contact, but the research you sent also touches on some pretty mind-blowing concepts, like the Kardashev scale. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. The Kardashev scale is basically a way of classifying civilizations based on their energy consumption. It's a theoretical framework, of course. But it helps us imagine the potential scope of advanced civilizations out there.
So it's like a cosmic power ranking system.
Yeah, you could think of it that way. A Type I civilization can harness all the energy available on its planet.
So like all the sunlight that falls on Earth, all the wind and geothermal energy, all the fossil fuels.
Exactly. They've mastered their planet's energy resources. A Type II civilization can harness the energy of its entire star.
Whoa, that's a huge jump. How would they even do that?
Well, one hypothetical concept is a Dyson sphere. It's a megastructure that completely encompasses a star, capturing all of its energy output.
A Dyson sphere. It's like building a giant solar panel around an entire star. Talk about ambitious home improvement. But is that even physically possible?
It's highly speculative, of course, but it's a thought-provoking example of what a truly advanced civilization might be capable of. And then there's Type III, a civilization that can control the energy of an entire galaxy.
An entire galaxy. That's just, mind-boggling. Where do we fall on this scale? I'm guessing we're not even close to Type I yet.
You're right. We're still a Type 0 civilization, relying mostly on fossil fuels and other relatively primitive energy sources.
So we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to think about the possibilities, right? What we might be capable of achieving in the future.
Absolutely. The Kardashev scale is a reminder that we're just at the beginning of our technological journey. Who knows what the future holds?
The research also mentions intergalactic travel. Is that even remotely possible? The distances between galaxies are vast.
Yeah, the distances are almost unimaginable. Even traveling at the speed of light, it would take millions of years to reach even the closest galaxies. So based on our current understanding of physics, intergalactic travel seems highly improbable.
But what if we're wrong about our understanding of physics? There could be things out there we haven't even discovered yet. Maybe there are shortcuts through space-time, like wormholes, or ways to travel faster than light.
Well, that's the beauty of science, right? There's always the potential for new discoveries that could completely change our understanding of the universe and our place in it. Maybe one day we'll figure out how to travel between galaxies, but for now, it remains firmly in the realm of science fiction.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the Fermi paradox to the Great Filter, from biosignatures to Dyson spheres. It's been quite a journey. What are some of the most mind-blowing possibilities that have stuck with you from all of this research?
For me, it's the sheer diversity of potential life forms. The idea that there could be creatures out there that are so different from us that we might not even recognize them as life. Creatures that thrive in environments that would be lethal to us. Creatures that communicate in ways we can't even imagine. Creatures that have mastered technologies that seem like magic to us. The possibilities are endless.
It makes you realize how limited our perspective is, doesn't it? We're just one species on one planet, and we tend to think that our way of life is the only way. But what if it's just one tiny sliver of the vast tapestry of life in the universe?
Exactly. And that's what makes this topic so exciting. The search for extraterrestrial life is, in a way, a search for ourselves, a search for meaning in a vast and often indifferent universe.
Well said. So for our listener out there who's been on this incredible journey with us today, what's the one takeaway you hope they'll hold on to?
I hope they come away with a sense of wonder and curiosity about the universe and our place in it. The possibility of extraterrestrial life is a powerful reminder that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, something that we're only beginning to comprehend.
Beautifully put. And if you could ask an alien just one question, what would it be?
That's a tough one, but I think I'd ask, what's the most important lesson you've learned about the universe? Their answer could change everything.
That's a great question. It really gets to the heart of things. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive for today. To our listener, keep looking up at the stars, keep asking questions, and never lose that sense of wonder. Who knows what amazing discoveries await us out there? Until next time, keep exploring.